does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Sun, Moon, and Stars from Minion Games. This is for 2 to 4 players. Take about 20 to 30 minutes to play, and it's for ages 6 plus. And in Sun, Moon, and Stars, you're going to be playing as Constellation, trying to make the sun, the moon, and the stars align in the perfect position so you can win victory points. What? What am I talking about? It's a micro game. Let's open it up. Check it out. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Sun, Moon, and Stars. First and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule sheet. It is one giant page, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. It's very well done. It'll have you up and running in no time at all. Also, it folds up nice and neat when you can put it back into the box. So in Sun, Moon, and Stars, you are going to be a constellation or something like that. And you're going to be trying to align the sun, the moon, the stars in just the right position so you can win the game. If the sun, moon, and stars are aligned in the right position at the end of anyone's turn, then you immediately flip over your card and you win the game. For instance, the deer wants to have the sun and the stars in front of him. If he does that, he wins. There are going to be 4 rolls that will be hidden from everyone else that you are going to try and do. The wolf, the owl, and the deer, which are all pretty self-explanatory, they have 2 symbols in front of them. The serpent wants anyone to have all 3 in front of them, or no one else wins. No one else will win if you run through all of the action cards twice. So these are the action cards right here, and we'll get in the components and we'll get a little bit in the gameplay. So we already went over the victory cards, so to speak, your hidden identity card. We also have the sun, moon, and stars, which are going to be moving around the board. Other people are going to be making them move based on the action cards right here. And there's going to be a couple different kinds of action cards. This one, stars to the moon. So that just means you move the stars over to where the moon are, and then the moon moves on. Pretty self-explanatory. You play that card, then it'll get discarded. We have the sun moves on also. So that just means the sun moves on, just like that. No biggie. Moon moves on. Pretty self-explanatory. But there are a couple special ones in here. So for instance, 2 players exchange roles. This can be a really big deal, especially because it gives you half the knowledge on the entire board. So for instance, you will know what your role is, and if you switch with somebody else, you'll know exactly what their role is. You might know what someone else's role could potentially be, so you'll be able to deduce a couple different things. But that's pretty much it. Exchange all one has for all another has. So for instance, if this was how it worked, then you say, all right, we're going to exchange. I get 2, you get nothing, and rinse, wash, and repeat. So let's show you exactly how the game is played. So on your turn, when you first start the game, somebody is going to be deciding where the sun, moon, and stars are going to be. They all have to be on 3 different locations around the board, and whoever goes first is going to have none of them in front of them, like so. So this guy would be going first. You take a look at your card right here. So for instance, we're trying to get the stars and the sun in front of us. Then each player is going to get dealt 1 card. It's a 2 to 4 player game, so I'm setting it up for 4 players right now. And then in typical microgame fashion, you're going to draw a card, and then you're going to play one of your cards. So exchange all for someone. That one's not really going to help us right now, but we'll do this one, the deer running. So the moon is going to go to the sun. Bloop. And then the sun moves on. So we play that card in the middle. And right now, we have the sun in front of us, which is great. That's half of our objective. So now the next player would go. So let's see, he's got this card, he has the stars. So he could pick either one of these. They're actually kind of a mere opposite of one another. So let's take a look at what his objective is. He's hoping to get the sun and the moon. So right now he has the stars, which doesn't really help him at all. So yeah, he would probably play this one. So with this one, the moon would come to the stars, so the moon would come to him, and then the stars would move on, which means he now has half of his objective as well. This guy right up here, he needs the moon and the stars, so he's sitting in a pretty good position. Somebody just handed him the stars. He's pretty content. So he takes a look at his cards. The sun moves on, the stars to sun, and the sun moves on. What does he need again? He needs the moon. So neither of these cards are really going to help him. But he knows he's not going to play this one because then the stars would go away from him. So he would probably just move the sun on one, play his card, bada boom. So using deductive logic, we can now know that this person is the serpent. So their goal is to have, at the end of someone's turn, that someone has all 3 cards in front of them, or no one else wins the game. So right now, if he could potentially get the stars over here, he could win the game. So let's draw a card, see what he gets. Moon moves on, sun to stars, star moves on. Yeah, nothing really is going to help him out too much here. He might do the moon moves on because why not? So he would do that. And secretly, though, he has revealed that this guy just won the game. He was trying to complete his victory endgame condition. This guy would be like, hey, I just won. He'd reveal, and he would get 1 point. You would rinse, wash, and repeat, and you were trying to go until someone gets 3 points. And that, in a nutshell, is how Sun, Moon, and Stars is played. Alrighty then, Sun, Moon, and Stars from Minion Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. It's a micro game, and it doesn't have the deepest amount of strategy. There's really, on your turn, you're only going to have 2 options, and you don't particularly get to pick those options. You're susceptible to the draw of the card and the randomness of which cards you get in your hand, which is going to be a turn-off to some people. Also, the game is 2 to 4 players, which is a very restrictive player count. And I think it's slightly more difficult to be the Serpent. That is one thing I want to mention. I enjoy being the Serpent because it gives you 2 different win conditions. But I feel like being the Serpent is definitely just a teeny bit harder than being one of the other 3 characters. Now, granted, you can switch cards with other people, though. There is the one card that will do that, so that is mitigated somewhat, but it is something that I did want to mention. Also, if you're looking for something that is a little bit meatier, this one's not going to be for you. Not many deep choices to make here, which will be a turnoff to some people. And it can get a little bit repetitive. It's one of those games where you're just trying to go to 3 victory points, but you're going to be playing the same game over and over and over again until someone gets those 3 victory points, which is going to be a turnoff to some people. Any other cons I have with the game? Oh, the theme is pretty much, it's really not here or there. The theme is very much pasted on. It could be a theme about anything. It works, though. It's serviceable, but it is something that I did want to mention. Moving on to the pros, I really enjoyed Sun, Moon, and Stars. I had very low expectations for this game. I'll be brutally honest. When I got it, I was like, oh, Sun, Moon, and Stars. This sounds like some bland, blah, blah. And it just didn't sound fun. I read the rules and was like, all right, this sounds pretty interesting. You got the hidden roles, and you're trying to get hidden objectives, and I like that. I dig that. And then we played it 2 players just to test it out for game night. I wasn't expecting it to be good at 2 players because 2 players, most micro games are just not good at 2 players. Like you take like your Love Letter. Lost Legacy doesn't even play 2 players. I'm not pretty even sure. Love Letter, for instance, terrible at 2 players. Absolutely atrocious. There's a couple of them that are just not good at 2 players. And this actually played really well at 2 players. And I think 2 players actually was my favorite player count. Now, that being said, I also liked it a lot at 3 and 4 players. But at 2 players, you just have more control. And those switching role cards become even more powerful because you can kind of whittle down the options to figure out what your opponent is. And I like that. Whereas in a 3 and 4 player, it's much more Wild West. And I found especially in the 4-player game, you're more likely to just luck into winning the game by someone else moving the Sun, Moon, and Stars for you, like I showed in the middle part. That just happened completely randomly, that the Serpent was trying to move something to help themselves out, and that made someone else win. That triggered the end of that round, which is going to be a turn off some people, but I liked it at all the different player counts. It's very simple to learn, very simple to teach. It fits in the box nicely, which is a big thing. And they didn't feel the need to go out and get some fancy micro game box or a bag or a pouch or some garbage like that. They said, hey, we're going to put this in a tuck box. And they don't use all the space in the tuck box, which thank you so much, Minion Games, because everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you played any games in a tuck box where you're trying to get the stupid tuck box closed and the thing will not close, and then you have to take the cards out and put the cards into the back and rearrange, and I hate that. It makes me so mad. They didn't do that. Minor nitpick, but still, I'm very glad they didn't do that. So overall, Sun, Moon, and Stars, if you are in the market for a light, simple 2 to 4 player micro game, this is definitely one I can highly recommend. I had a lot of fun with. This is one I'm going to keep on my shelf for these type of situations. It's got just enough bite that it's going to work with gamers, but it's not going to scare off gateway gamers, new gamers as well. So that is Sun, Moon, and Stars from Minion Games, one that I was pleasantly surprised about, liked it a good deal. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below or in the comments below. Let me know. Do you ever do anything astronomy-wise? My dad used to show me a bunch of stuff like the Cassiopeia and the Orion's Belt, and I always really wanted to get into it. It seems fascinating to me. My son really wants to be an astronaut. For like the last 5 months, he's just been, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. I want to be an astronaut. So I would love to learn more about it, but my memory's just so bad. Like, I'll learn things and I'll be like, I have no idea what those stars are. There's just too many of them. There's too many. I wish there was just like 6 stars. I can remember 6. There's just maybe 4. 4 stars. I'll remember all 4. But anywho, let me know. Astronomy, is it your cup of tea? In the bottom below, in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.